Welcome to another The Builders Extra. Today we are going to rewind back to episode 92 just from a few days ago with Bob Hunter. In this particular episode, I am going to dig into a part of our conversation revolving around his health. Now, I know a lot of people in my life that have various health problems, even in the business world. There's people that have been even on this podcast that might have some kind of health issue they are dealing with. You know that old saying, there's a quote that goes around the internet. Be kind to everyone because you never know what someone is going through. And it's true. I'm going to relate today's story with him. I'm not going to compare it to him, but we'll talk a little bit about what his situation is. And then I'm going to talk about my situation and what I might be dealing with. And maybe what lessons we can pull from that, or maybe it's just inspiring to hear that there are people out there that are dealing with things that they put on a brave face. They're strong. They just show up every day. They do their things, and they're dealing with this other thing, whether that's pain related, whether that's some other health issues they're dealing with. And it's really inspiring to hear a story like Bob's here. Now, he completely came out of left field because I don't think we discussed. Maybe he mentioned something on our intro call when we first talked, but suddenly he's talking about being diagnosed with sickle cell anemia. Now, I don't know a whole lot about that. He explained it a little bit on the call, but basically he had a job that he loved. He was really good at, and he enjoyed. And while he was at this job, and I don't know if this was 5 years ago or something like that, he was diagnosed with this. And it ended up, he has strokes. And as we were on the live, on the podcast, he's like, yeah, I can't see out of one eye. And then he's like, I can't hear in one of my ears. So he's blind in one eye, can't hear out of one ear. He has to deal with potential strokes. I think he still experiences, obviously a lot of this. But somehow he dug deep and was able to find his way through that. I think he even had to relearn how to read and all of that. And he relearned how to do the basics. And then from there, he had to, because of financial reasons, he wanted to do more with his life and make more money. He had to figure out what the next stage of his life was going to look like. And he ends up, like building a pretty decent business. So it's not like he just went out to do some simple business. He's like in finance, like helping people get loans and financing or funding or whatever. Now, for him to do that and deal with what he's dealing with is not easy. And you look at everybody that struggles with businesses and showing up to work on their business or even their work, if they're going to a job every day, that's not easy. And especially in something like this, like I can't even imagine what that's like. And there's people dealing with very similar things or he deals with pain like all over his body and stuff. That's crazy. I know people that have headaches. I can't even imagine. That's something I feel like I'm lucky I don't have headaches because I can't even imagine doing what I do for a living as a web designer, developer, managing a team and looking at my computer every day, having headaches, like migraines and stuff. I can't. I used to have some headaches periodically. That's kind of corrected itself for reasons, but I just can't imagine. So one of the things that I wanted to just talk about today, and it's something that I deal with, and I'm telling you this, I don't, necessarily always talk about my personal life on this channel, but this is something that affects my business and what I do every day. Not profoundly though. Like I'm not like Bob here. Okay. But about 10 years ago, let me tell you a story. About 10 years ago, I woke up in the middle of the night in extreme pain. It's like my whole back just blew, like my neck just blew up. And suddenly I had pain running down my arm. And I couldn't even reach over to pet my dog. It was extreme pain, probably the worst pain I've had in my life. That led to me having to get surgery. And I had what's called an anterior cervical discectomy and fusion. C6 and C7 are fused together. I have screws in there, plates, a cage. I'm metallic back there. And luckily though, because that can go pretty sideways, luckily I got a good surgeon. I was able, that's a good thing about having a wife in healthcare, by the way. She hooked me up with a good surgeon. And it went pretty well. That doesn't mean I didn't have any pain though. So for the last 10 years, I've had some pain, and periodically things would flare up back there. And what happens is there's nerves that run down your, from your neck into your, back into your arm. And once in a while, pain would flare up. I'd take some drugs for a few days, maybe Advil or something or whatever. And then it would kind of correct itself, right? And this is something I've been dealing with for quite some time. I have to sleep on a special pillow at night. I've changed certain things. My posture is very important. If I sit in the wrong chair, I'm in pain, right? Well, a couple of weeks ago, again, I woke up in the morning and suddenly something went, it's hard to explain. I always try to explain my pains, but it's like something lit up back there. It was like fire. It was a little bit of pain, and then it was just weird. And then since then, that went right into my shoulder, and I've had this pain right back here for the last couple of weeks. And I've done hot therapy, like I got a special thing I put on. You could heat up in a microwave and put it on your neck. I do that. Some cold therapy. Laying down a lot, because when I'm laying down, luckily with that, when I'm laying down at night, it actually doesn't bother me when I'm straight like that. The reason I have this nice chair behind me is because it has been more comfortable for me over the years. I don't have an executive chair just to have because I think I'm an executive. It's because I have neck issues, and it's been pretty good, but it's getting a little older. It's a little broken down, but also I think I need a more ergonomical chair to help me. So you're probably going to see me with a new chair very soon. I'm actually going to see my doctor this afternoon to discuss the situation. I've got in relatively quick and see what my options are. I do not want to have surgery again. Hopefully there's other things I can do, therapy or whatever, or just improving things like my chair. But that's something I deal with. And it's in the last couple of weeks, especially, it's been a bit of a challenge for me. This isn't your run-of-the-mill pain, and I tend to be on calls a lot. I did an hour and a half yesterday morning. It was a client demo, and during this demo, I'm in pain. I do podcasts, obviously, 45 minutes to an hour. And if you see me moving around a little bit once in a while, it's probably because I need to change positions, because that's a thing that can help. If you stay in one position for too long, it can be a bad thing. But I deal with that, right? And I deal with it. Like I don't have a choice, right? I have to show up every day with that brave face. And just work through it and do the best I can to cope with it. So, somebody recently actually told me they had some back pains. I was on a call with them, and she said she was struggling on a particular call, and I could relate. So, it's like if you see me moving around a lot, yeah, I can relate. But that's the thing. I think talking about that, it's like, that's my situation, in terms of pain specifically. I think a lot of people are dealing with things you don't know. There's a lot of, if you jump on a call with, who knows what that person is actually dealing with. That doesn't mean that you have to, there's anything you can do about it or react to. But that's why you want to be kind to people. But I don't know what lesson I can pull from this, besides the fact that I think you have to work out what gets you through that. How do you stay positive through that? And a lot of that, I think, is just strength of character. Somebody that doesn't let things hold them down. His story, Bob's story, could have very easily just gave up and just not be inspired getting up in the morning, not being motivated to do something. But I think there's something underlying there. We didn't really dig into it that much. But he mentioned his girlfriend, or maybe I don't know if he's married, but he had a girlfriend, maybe. Again, we didn't get into his personal life that deeply. But, and he needed to make more money. I think he said he could make he was, $300 a week or something, which wasn't enough. So he had to do something. And that he was doing it for others. He wasn't just doing it for himself. Now he can't work. He can't do what his job. What can he do? And I think that's something everybody in this situation has to work through. What can I do? Not what can't I do? What can I do? And you might have to completely pivot. You might have to do something completely different and reinvent your life. And I'm sure that's anybody with disabilities or pain or whatever. You kind of have to reinvent your life. You have to build things into your life to deal with that situation. Just like I'm going to get a new chair. I'm going to do, I have to lay in a certain way, or maybe I have to take more breaks. I do that already. Maybe I have to lay down. Maybe in the afternoon, I need to take a little time and rest my back. Those are things I do. I mean, I'm sure he has a whole myriad of things that he has to do on a daily basis. But what can you do both daily to improve your quality of life, but also in maybe your career and your business? When I think about my business, one of the reasons that I don't want to just be a freelancer and work for myself is because of this. Is because I've always kind of had that kind of thought in my head. Like years ago, I used to do physical labor. I had a Matt's painting and repair business. I was doing carpentry and all this other stuff. And even back then, that was like 20 years ago. I was like, I don't know if I want to do this physically in 20 years. But you might not be able to. So you got to figure out working at home. That is about the best thing you could have for if you have health issues or you have disabilities. But you figure out what you can do. You figure out what you can do. And then also, just like him and just like me, I have a purpose. I have a why. I'm not just living for myself. I have a wife. I have a dog. I got to make sure they have a good life. I got to also make sure that I put things in a specific position. Like I just was talking about, I don't want to be a freelancer. That's why I want to build a team. I want to build a team because if something does happen, that I can take time off if I need to, or, things keep rolling. I'm not doing everything myself. I'm not just a programmer on the keyboard every day and hope to heck that nothing happens to my hands. Or I can't, even sit in a chair anymore. I was joking with my wife the other day. I could get one of those desks that it's attached to your chair and you can just lay on your back and just, I might have to do that someday. I don't know. I laugh about it. It's a serious thing though. I mean, people in my position, there's people that can get paralyzed or they can have extreme pain, beyond probably what I've even experienced so far. So it is what it is. And if I'm not going to have surgery, because surgery is very, very risky, I may have to just live with the pain now. I don't know. I'm going to talk to my doctor today to see if I can do anything, if there's any options, or maybe, whatever. Hopefully I'll improve. But it is what it is. But one of the things that is really, really important, though, is knowing your why, having a good purpose. When I wake up every day and I sit in this chair, right now I have a little bit of pain. I've already, spent, a couple hours this morning managing the team and communicating with people and all that. It's good in terms of it actually takes my mind off of this. So there is that. But it's also like, I got to do this. I'm motivated to do this. I'll work through the pain. I'll work through whatever issues I have in my life. And because there's a larger vision here, there's a larger purpose in 10 years, 20 years, I have to think about that. Like, what kind of shape am I going to be in? I'm going to be older. That's for sure. Right. I have to work hard now. I've put in the extra hours now for my family, for my, my future, for others. That's just me. Sort of me, though, because I don't want to get old and, be in trouble, in all kinds of other myriad of ways because I didn't prepare. But yeah, I just thought I'd talk about that today and relate to that. I always like to talk about things I relate to, tell you a little bit about that story, that aspect of my health that I deal with on a daily basis, especially the last few weeks. But I really, really connected with Bob. Not only did we have a great conversation in general, I could have talked to Bob all day. What a great guy. But so inspiring, because I know there's people listening to this that will listen to this that are going to be suffering in a myriad of ways. And it's like, how do you work through that? And what is the difference between that person? That's a whole episode. I don't know. That's because there's people that give up, and then there's people that, maybe half give up, just try to get through each day. But then there's these people that excel with crazy disabilities or crazy issues. How do they, what is that? And we'll dig into that someday and we'll figure it out. All right. Until next time, I'm going to go rest my back. Talk to you later.